Go. All right, we're down to a few last questions, okay? And I'm going to ask the question that's on everybody's mind right now. I'm just going to jump into it. First, I want to know, what is your explanation to the dip in cryptocurrency right now?
Well, there's always natural corrections.
Okay.
And things were, in my opinion, had moved a little bit too rapidly with Bitcoin, especially, and some of the other altcoins. It's pretty dramatic to go from 4,000 in February of 2020 to 62,000. That's a pretty dramatic.
That's a lot.
So and what Bitcoin has always done is gone up and then kind of set these floors. Mm-hmm. So is the new floor going to be 30,000? I don't know.
Right.
I also think that there was some profit taking going on.
What do you mean by profit taking?
People liquidating, big holders.
Oh, you mean like they jumped in, they bought in at 20, it went to 40 or 50, they sold.
Yeah.
And then that kind of.
And part of it's there's probably those, like we were talking about, there's probably a lot of people out there that are trying to sell that they think they're going to avoid paying any kind of gain. So there's a lot of that kind of silliness happening. But also I think that, the economy now, we're in a place where we're trying to figure out, especially in the U.S., we're trying to figure out where the economy is going to go. Right. So you have the larger players that are looking for different types of investments.
Larger players,
hedge funds, endowments. They're all looking for the next right investment. So I think a lot of the hedge funds got into crypto and then probably took some of that profit off the table and looking into different investments. So there's a lot of movement of money going on with crypto. The next surge will be when ETFs in the US are approved. Once they're approved, then all the larger cryptos will all see a significant increase.
Right.
Because the three majors, there's probably more than that, but those will definitely see Bitcoin, Ethereum likely will definitely see a bump because all those ETFs will have those in there.
When's that going to happen, or when is it supposed to happen? We don't know.
Nobody knows, but it will happen.
Do you think it's going to happen during 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I do think it'll happen.
All right, so then with that, my next appendage to that question is we talk about the altcoins. And we have something like the Dogecoin, and I think that Ethereum just kind of validated Dogecoin or whatever the case is, and I don't know if Elon had something to do with that. Can you explain that, and what is your opinion about that particular behavior?
Yeah, it's hard to know because we're not getting all the information of what's happening. Elon Musk's reversal of being a proponent of Bitcoin was very hasty moves for someone that's created such a large business. To 2 months later say that he's not going to accept it didn't seem to make a lot of sense, and it seems like he got into his head that he wanted to more personally profit from Doge, and wanted to put his efforts there because he thought. And he's been able to manipulate that price. And I think fundamentally as an investment, he's looking to create wealth for himself. And then just from an ego point of view,
that's what I was going to ask.
I think that it has a lot to do with it because it's such a small player. Mm-hmm. He can have more of an effect than he can on Bitcoin.
It made me think almost like he was just toying with it. Like just to say, you know what, I'm going to influence something. And then I'm going to write it out, and then I'm going to not influence it, and then see what how much power in which I wield upon this particular genre of finance.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a guy that just doesn't have a lot going on. He just wants to constantly get stroked by manipulating the price, but it hurts. It hurts people.
It hurts people.
Yeah, I don't. I think he will look back on this and regret what he did.
Yeah.
Now,
we mentioned hurt, but some people also gain.
Some people did gain, yeah, but I think that we're in this early kind of infancy of these cryptos having too much power wielded by influencers, let's say, is not a great thing.
How can we regulate that? I mean, who's to say, let's say you're a big Star Wars fan and Harrison Ford says, and I don't think that he would do that because he's Han Solo, but let's say he just says, I give my endorsement on this particular coin. And all of a sudden, now we're dealing with a financial market that's all about tagging something or having some kind of marquee value attached to it.
Yeah.
How do we regulate that?
Well, it's getting to be difficult until the regulations are more put in place. But it's like what happened with Martha Stewart, right? She got a tip that a stock that she owned was, and she sold it. That's illegal, and she went to jail, right? Until we have more regulation on cryptos, and once we do, then Elon, being a holder of it, won't be able to manipulate it the way he is. But we're still a ways away before that. Yeah, because if someone can manipulate something, a stock or a fund, to their own personal gain, that can be deemed illegal, and there's repercussions. But until the regulations are there, kind of controlling it, you're going to see a lot of influencers try to manipulate the price.
Has there been any other influencers other than Elon that has had an effect on the market that come to mind?
Well, I mean, I think President Biden has come out strongly for a lot of regulation, which is probably the other reason that we've seen the price pull back a little bit. There's probably some fear with regulation and not knowing what that regulation really will entail. But to kind of go about like how the U.S. can get in front of crypto and how they can really become a player is really to do what Governor Abbott is doing, is accepting it as a currency and then providing a safe environment for miners. If we could get more mining here in the U.S., we would control more of the infrastructure of these cryptocurrencies, and that puts us in a better footing. Which would mean we'd have to create an environment almost like we do for farmers, where we give them tax incentives. If we created that infrastructure here, and we also found a way to make it not so energy excessive, if we could do those two things, then we would control the market better.